Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Alan Ruff and Alison McConnell are here with me. I'm Peter Martin, delighted to have your company. And if you get a chance, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. It's Scottish Cup weekend and a chance for us to look at some interesting fixtures and a chance for you to share with us who you think could provide us with an upset. Here are the fixtures that we can look forward to over the course of the weekend. Ayr against Hibs obviously taking place tonight. Livingston, Cove Rangers, Dundee, Airdrieonians, St Johnstone against Hamilton. It's Celtic at home to Raith Rovers, Aberdeen, Dunfermline, Rangers against Queen's Park, and St Mirren against Hearts. So we'll be discussing these key fixtures. And a little earlier on, I was able to have a chat with Patrick Mullen, who was out there at the Rangers training centre. Obviously, the key question, the cup game against Queen's Park, and that small matter of Philippe Clement announcing his Europa League squad.
Yeah, that's right, Peter. Good afternoon from a sunny Rangers training centre. As you mentioned, Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup this weekend, but a lot of the focus was on that big decision to readjust that Europa League squad. 3 names now in it: Clinton Isiala, Danilo and Ianis Hadji. The names dropping out, well, that's Cortez, Dowell and Casawero. And the big one that everyone was thought might make an appearance is Rafael Fernandez, the new signing in this January window. No place for him, according to Philippe Clement. That was a slight annoyance given the rules by UEFA, but they've had a conversation, Philippe Clement and Rafael Fernandez, and he is understanding of that decision.
Are going to talk about the big cup match, but of course it's the first time we've had a chance to hear the Rangers manager discuss the players that he's able to bring in, and of course that big one, which is the pre-contract with Lyall Cameron.
Yeah, Philippe Clement said that he to everything they wanted. They wanted more, but they did manage to get that pre-contract agreement with Lyall Cameron over the line. There was a few Rangers fans wondering, why is Lyall Cameron not in the building now? According to Philippe Clement, well, that is a financial decision to leave him at Dundee for the remainder of the season. He is delighted with that piece of business. He plans to keep on and sign a young Scottish talent, develop them here at Rangers, and according to Philippe Clement, well, he fits perfectly into those plans.
We had enough talks with him that he understands what Rangers is, and of course Scottish players know it more, but you need to live the building, you need to live the club also to know things. It's different. Like for Conor Barron, it was also different to come here and to play, but he knew also really well what this club is about, and we're looking for that kind of characters also, not only good players but also players who can cope with what it is to be a Rangers player and to have the right mentality, and Lyall showed that in the talks.
Another name that had a lot of transfer speculation over the January transfer window, well, that was Cyriel Dessers, his agent revealing over 10 notices of interest over the window. He said today he's delighted to still be at the club. He had meetings with Niels Koppen, the technical director here at Rangers. He wanted to stay and he's delighted to be here, and he's looking forward to kicking on to the remainder of the campaign. The cup, well, it's been a happy hunting ground for him so far. That hat-trick coming in the last game against Fraserburgh, and he'll be looking to follow that up on Sunday against Queen's Park. Kick-off at Ibrox, and we'll be there live, keeping you up to date all across PLZ Soccer's social media sites.
Yeah, that was just a little earlier there with Patrick Mullen at the Rangers training centre. Of course, Rangers against Queen's Park. It's a Glasgow derby. Queen's Park 5th in the Championship. I can't quite work out Queen's Park, Ruffy, because they're a side that looked as if they were suddenly going to have all this investment, all these plans, and you thought they were going to have that rise right to the top and straight into the Premiership, but it hasn't quite materialised.
No, it hasn't. Early on, it looked as if that would be the case. They were in the top 4 for a wee while there. But I think it's been, again, the consistency level. You know, they were losing some games they shouldn't have. They're still there or thereabouts. There's lots of games to play, as we saw in the Championship. Everybody's equal to beat each other in any given day. So they'll be still, I think their target would be that top 4 place.
Yeah, of course, Callum Davison is the man in charge there. Interestingly enough, like any a manager who's facing a bigger club, I don't know if he was trying to maybe psych out the referees because they're under a fair bit of pressure, but he reckons the man in the middle will have to be strong and get the big decisions right.
We've got to go and try and play our own game. I don't think we can change too much in what we're trying to do ourselves here. I think when you do that, you end up it's backs to the wall. So I think for me, it's trying to do everything that we are trying to implement at the club. You know, things have got to go right. We've got some good refereeing decisions. Hopefully this week might go our way a little bit, and you know, you need that little bit of luck as well.
Yeah, it's a clever manager speak there for try and get it right, will you?
I think as well, just after all the VAR hullabaloo again this week, he's just saying, well, maybe we might get a decision, or I think I can't imagine anything other than a straightforward afternoon for Rangers. I think even if all the stars aligned for Queen's Park, I just don't think they would have enough. I think you need Rangers to have an incredible off day. You need things to go for you, and I just think the way that Rangers have played across recent weeks and how they've been at home by and large this season, I can't see anything other than a kind of procession into the next round for Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you noticed there, Ali, but I didn't butt in or in any way give you any hassle. We got wee Ruffy, you know what I'm like. I like to react to all the messages that come in, and the amount of people that said I gave you a hard time in the journals the other day there, and I couldn't stop laughing at some of them. Obviously, a lot of them from your husband, but other than that, there was a lot of people saying, you know,
that was easy compared to when the cameras are off.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people just jumping in and saying I'm giving her a hard time, and let her finish. You know, make her.
Were we arguing about something?
We were arguing about something, but obviously.
Dancing away.
The thing about it is, Ali, you know what it's like now. There's a real battle going on. There's a battle of the sexes. So I looked at it on with great hilarity at Ruffy, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to let Ali finish her sentence today.
So we will to go yet.
Exactly. And you make a good point. I'm not pandering, do you? What did you make of what Patrick had to say there? This is the Rangers squad. After that transfer window, is it? I mean, some people will make a meal of the fact that there's no Lyall Cameron there. They have to wait to the summer for that financial decision, is what the manager said. Nobody else made that up. That's what the manager had to say. There's the squad. I mean, are they well placed to continue? You think they'll do well in Europe, Ali? And is it a case of just saving face with a strong finish to the end of the season for Philippe Clement?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll want to build on the last couple of weeks. I think the Europa League is an exciting addendum to a campaign that really the Scottish Cup is alive for Rangers, but I think realistically the league has gone. I think getting Hadji into that European squad was important. I think his creativity was missed at the start of the season when he wasn't in. I think you've seen that in the last couple of months since he's gone in and re-established himself at the heart of that midfield. I don't think there's too many surprises about the rest of the squad, and I don't think there's too many surprises about the Cameron situation either. I don't think Dundee would want to lose him, given where they are and how precarious it might become for them. And also, I think financially, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for Rangers if they don't need him just now, and I don't think they do desperately need him just now. I think it makes sense to wait. However, I think it does just shine a light on the fact that the financial situation at Rangers, as Philippe Clement has brought our attention to repeatedly this year, is still quite fragile in terms of money going in, money going out, wanting to balance the books and still keen to kind of watch the pennies.
I think for the next couple of years, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Rangers' signing policy is. I mean, if it's going down the best of the Scottish talent when they have money available to them, and they will have money because obviously when there's season ticket renewals and other deals that they're able to do commercially, then they will have a budget for them. We've already discussed ad nauseum whether he gets all the way to the end of the season because he was under pressure. Some people still think he might be. Was it you that mentioned you thought he might be a game by game, Ali?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure everyone is entirely convinced by recent weeks. I think they've stabilised and results have been better, performances have been better, particularly in a European sense. I think there's been a lot of encouragement. However, I do think if there was one more adverse result, I think you will see just the kind of chat that we saw earlier on in the campaign. I don't think it's entirely muted.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. I mean, it was a good result against Celtic, Ruffy. Very good performance. Unfortunately, didn't follow it up for the Rangers fans with a couple of away games that they came a cropper in. But I think it's always painful if you lose to your great rivals in the Old Firm derbies. But I think the biggest pain here is if they don't win the Scottish Cup. I think that's where the pain will come for Rangers. I fully expect them to win by 3 or 4 against Queen's Park, but the pain is if they don't land silverware.
Yeah, well, I think the supporters have already identified, the success they want. They've had the banners saying we want immediate success. We don't want to be waiting 2 or 3 years. Europe has been a breath of fresh air to them. Away from home in the league hasn't been so good, So, as we spoke about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's all about winning and winning the big games. And every fan likes to be in Europe, and they're in Europe now. They've got a reasonable tie to maybe go further than that. And obviously, we've got the Celtic game still to come up with the split. So, I think everything just now has banished all the banners and all the negativeness that's going about, and that's basically because they've been winning games.
I know they're good enough to win the Scottish Cup. Are they good enough to go all the way in the Europa League the way some of the players have suggested?
Well, they have been a breath of fresh air in Europe. The style of play that they have, the players they have available, seem to excel in the European stage. And the 2 or the 3 teams that are left in there, you can't look at any. I mean, you look at the Champions League, you look at the teams that are in that, awesome, but not so much in the Europa. So, I mean, they got there the last time at Seville. The debate would be, is this team as good as that team?
Is it?
Time will tell. I think what they've done in Europe has been good. I don't think they've ever been backs to the wall. Any games they've played, they've given it their all, particularly Man United, and then you saw them against Spurs. They held their own, and I just think in Europe, I don't know what it is, but they seem to do well.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Ali. I would say no, they're not as good. What would you say?
Yeah, I think I'd be inclined to agree with you. I think they're a bit weaker. However, I think when you look at the 4 teams that they could get in the next tie, I think you would have to say they're capable of matching all 4 of them. And then when you get to that stage, when you progress to quarter-final stage, I think anything does become possible. I think that you're looking at one-off ties. I think Rangers have been particularly formidable at Ibrox when it comes to European games. You look at the scalps that they've taken across recent seasons. I certainly think, there would be a bit of belief there, but I think it's a bit too early yet to be talking about it. I don't know that they're capable of matching some of the teams that are still left in the competition. Still a few big names in the Europa League, but certainly I think advancing through the next round is within their grasp, and I think anything that does that would help Philippe Clement's case. I think anything that keeps a bit of momentum going now in this latter part of the campaign will work for him.
2022, I'll take you through the side. This is why I think the 2022 side would easily win against this Rangers side at the moment. McGregor in goal, James Tavernier, Connor Golson, Calvin Bassey, Borna Barisic, Ryan Jack, John Lundstrom, Ryan Kent, Scott Wright, Glenn Kamara and Joe Aribo. Am I there to be corrected?
I think they're stronger defensively in 2022. I think they've maybe got a wee bit more in midfield now.
Think so?
I think so.
Yeah. Ruffy?
I think you look at if you're going individual to individual, how many of that team would get in this team.
Yeah.
I think
James Tavernier.
I think it'd be 50-50.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean? How many of that team would get in? I think the boy Wright would get in. In the present day, and then you're going to you're comparing certain players with certain players. Is he better than him? Is it blah blah blah? I agree with Alison. I think that defensively they were solid back then. Alan McGregor was a fantastic goalkeeper for them in Europe, making all the big saves. So I don't think there's a massive swing between the two of them.
Yeah, okay. Certainly, it's a great pub argument, isn't it? Is the 2022 side better than the current Rangers squad? And can this current Rangers squad go all the way to the final in the Europa League? Is that just a pipe dream, or do you firmly believe it? You can give us your thoughts in the comments below. Celtic against Raith Rovers, couple of injury worries. Schmeichel out with a back injury, and that's Sinisalo in for his first competitive game. I would imagine even if you've got a tweak in your back, the manager's saying, sit this one out against Raith Rovers because Bayern Munich's on the horizon.
Absolutely, I think no disrespect to Raith Rovers, I think Brendan Rodgers will be looking at it and saying you just need to negotiate it and come through it, and then all eyes in on Wednesday night, a huge game at Celtic Park against the might of Bayern Munich. I think he'll need everyone fit. I don't think he'll be risking anyone at all. I think that anyone with the slightest of knocks will not be participating tomorrow.
Yeah, this is what Brendan Rodgers had to say at today's press conference. I'm not sure they're going to listen to me, if I'm honest. Let's hope it's not just solely Celtic supporters, but my only worry is for Celtic and our club, so that it can maintain the status that we have an amazing club with an amazing support base. It's a club that supports and can travel anywhere in the world and always be welcomed, and doors are always open for them. And that is alluding to, of course, what Alison was just talking about, Bayern Munich. The fans are going to be allowed to go to the stadium because Celtic argued that smoke, bomb, flare, call it what you will, was an isolated situation and not a sustained period of flares from a larger group of Celtic fans, so they've got off the hook.
Well, if anything, you hope it's a lesson learned. You know, that the threat of not having any supporters there was enormous. You could hear Brendan Rodgers. I'm sure the players would have been affected to it as well, and the supporters aren't causing any problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, but you would like to think the people who are causing the problems will be sensible enough to say, look, we've been given a chance here. I don't think we'll be given another one. If there's any trouble at all away, I think it will be a ban.
Yeah, of course it's going to be a fantastic game, but with a cup game in mind, you only have to look back at midweek and how Celtic dismantled Dundee. And it was, I think Brendan Rodgers mentioned that he thought it was one of the best performances of the season, but it certainly contained some of the best goals of the season. I mean, the sublime chip from Maeda was just out of this world, and Nicholas Kuhn popped up with a screamer.
Some fantastic goals. I thought it was a very complete performance from Celtic. Some of the goals too were, the one that starts from away in their own box and basically they work the whole length of the pitch. Yeah, I thought some fantastic finishes. I think they looked like a team full of confidence, belief. I think in a domestic sense, I think Celtic are very assured of where they are at the minute, but Wednesday night is an entirely different test altogether, as they will know. I think tomorrow will be just about coming through the tie. You just want to negotiate it, rest players if you can. If the game is won, bring them off, give them an opportunity to recuperate ahead of going again on Wednesday night. And then, of course, you've just got 6 days in between that and the return leg over in the Allianz. So, huge time. I think it's exciting. I think most Celtic supporters would accept that they're going into that game with hope rather than expectation. I don't think realistically they would be expected to do much against Munich, but certainly they'll probably go and look to have a go and see where it takes them going into the second leg. As for Saturday, it's really just about negotiate it, come through it and move on.
Yeah, Barry Robson, a Celtic player in his time in his playing career, but now the manager there, they're 7th in the table. Disappointment in the derby match against Dunfermline last week. But as far as Raith Rovers are concerned, I just wonder, I'm not suggesting for a minute they're in the same vein as Falkirk, but certainly of lower league teams, Falkirk are the best side I've seen come to Celtic Park and actually go and try and play football. Is it a case of Barry Robson saying to the Raith Rovers players, listen, you've got a free hit here, let's go out and have a go?
Well, I hope he does. I hope he does. I hope he makes it an end-to-end game. You want to go there. I don't know how many Raith Rovers players have played at Celtic Park. It's a day to enjoy, to go out there, and express your own individuality. They have got certain players in there who will enjoy the game, but I think it will be a backs to the wall. They've been in, not turmoil this year, but in transition since the start of the season with the board and the players and everything that was going on behind the club. Barry sort of went in there to settle it a wee bit. I thought there would be a top 4 team in the Championship. That hasn't materialised yet, but they still, like I said, in the Championship, they'll give any of the teams a good go, but I think they'll be entertaining enough for the supporters that go along.
I've got 3-0.
Yeah,
And I've got 4-0 Rangers. What do you got?
I probably would be maybe a reverse 3-0 and 4-0.
Okay, just for the sake of it. Okay, Ali?
Yeah, I think both will come through fairly comfortably. I'll say 3-0 both.
3-0 both, okay. Just as we did with Rangers, looking at the squad, Ruffy, Celtic squad coming out of that transfer window, I think a lot of people will look and say the striking department is where they're getting a little bit of criticism. My attitude to that is quite simply, Celtic, I think, have just probably looked at it and thought they've got more than enough. I think they've, like many people, just thought to themselves, well, we're coming to the end of the road against Bayern Munich. We're just going to accept the predicament. I think they probably think they've reached their ceiling point on that. As a boardroom, maybe Brendan Rodgers will paint a very different picture, but I think the boardroom, by not signing a striker, has just basically said, right, this is where we reach the end of the road in the Champions League.
I don't think they'll admit to the end of the road, that...
No, but that's what opinions are about. That's why I'm just saying that's what they'll be thinking.
You think they'll be thinking, I don't think they'll be thinking that, I think...
Well, if they didn't think that, why didn't they get him a striker? He wanted one.
Well, he said he wanted one, but they never got him. I mean, it was funny, there was only 2 names bandied about, but the money again was, 14 million or something like that, and obviously that's the deal, that the supporters will say, well, why are we not pushing the boat out? If we have got any ambition of going to Europe, why are we not buying £14 million players when we've got the money to do it?
Yeah.
I think that's a criticism, but there'll be no criticism as long as he stays fit. If he gets injured and they start playing Maeda through the middle as a striker, you're right, it's enough to see them through the end of the season. But
is there an opinion in there?
No, it's coming. I'm coming to it. But if Maeda was to be injured and Celtic were to get to a cup final and lose it because they didn't have a top class striker, then people will be asking questions.
Yes. Can you see my pain over the last 12 years? Now you know why I interrupt everybody. You see the pain, Ali, don't you? It's such a... He winds it up into a long story. It's almost Harry Potter-esque. But in the end, you get there. And my point, the board, the white flag's up. Thank you. Brendan's reached his remit. Congratulations to him. That's what, in my mind, that's what he was brought back for. I think he's reached that. As a manager, he'll probably say, wouldn't it be great if you could pull off a wee shock against Bayern Munich? The board maybe realistically are looking and saying, listen, here's the financial figures, here's how much money we've got in the kitty. We're not going to push the boat out for Kvistgaarden at 14 million. It's not in our blueprint, and Bayern Munich, we're not going to get past them. So this squad will take you through to the title.
I think so. I think I felt as though when Brendan Rodgers spoke in the aftermath of last weekend's game, I thought it looked and sounded as though there was a striker in the pipeline, because he seemed very assured of the fact that they would get another one in. So whatever has happened, and I think we know that there was talks with various players. They were down in London, and it didn't transpire for whatever reason. I think there would have been a lack of, I don't want to say a lack of urgency, but I think it will have been tempered by the fact that Celtic are very, very comfortable in a domestic sense, that the league is almost done. And I would agree with you. I think this is a very natural ceiling for Celtic in the Champions League. I think it's a realistic ceiling to qualify into this stage, into the playoffs. Who would expect them to go and beat Bayern Munich? And you're right, the manager, the players all fancy, anything's happening, anything can happen. They'll want to go and have a go, and they'll want to go and go into the game with an ambition. However, I think when the dust settles on it, you would say this is pretty much where Celtic's level is at a European front. I don't think... I think that my reasoning for why I think it would have been sensible to bring a striker in now owes more to what lies ahead this summer rather than what's needed just now. This year there is no automatic qualification place for the Champions League. There will have to be qualifiers for the Champions League. So I think it puts a pressure on you now going into the summer window because you need to be introducing a striker who can hit the ground running. You can't be scrambling about ahead of playoff games, trying to bring someone in that gets you through those ties, because you know how lucrative they are to the club and how important they are. And I also think those games set a tone for the season.
I still think you're brainwashed into accepting exactly brainwashed into accepting
really?
what the
Not offensive on any level whatsoever.
No, I'm going to. Well, let me finish the sentence.
Oh really?
Wait to get the guys on my side. No, I think you've been brainwashed into the situation, which is quite simply that a narrative of 20 odd years, which is quite simply, you know, this is the level. This is you can't beat a Bayern Munich. You're not going to do that. This is where we're at. We can't compete. I don't buy into that narrative at all.
I don't think Celtic are never going to be held to ransom over a player. If you've watched how Celtic deal with players over the last 20 years, and it becomes known, I think when you go into the last days of a window and it's apparent that two things: one, you've got money, and two, you're in need of a player for a particular position. Clubs know then that you can kind of hold you to ransom. Celtic just don't operate like that.
They don't actually, but when you know that a player is leaving, you make sure
I think that
you go through the process.
I think that points to a failure, a kind of collective failure of where Celtic's recruitment policy is at the minute. Yeah. I don't think that you're. I think it needs to be more seamless and more. As I would have assumed, if it was the case that Kyogo had wanted to go in the summer, as we were led to believe, that he wasn't happy, that he was agitating to go, then I think, you know, there are questions to be asked. Well, why is he going mid-season when you don't have a replacement lined up? Yeah,
William Smith makes a very, very good point, Alison, which I'm sure you'll agree with.
Hear it first.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the great thing about the broadcast, whether it's on our channels, Ruffy, or indeed in newspapers or radio, you are allowed to have a full-scale argument with any pundit, male or female, and still be able to stand by that without everybody jumping on you with a baseball bat. I was just about to say, am I the dinosaur for my old mate Alan, who's getting pelters down south? But nevertheless, I'm not going to stand by it. I'm not
for my Sunday column.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not going to defend him at the moment. But Ruffy, this is William Smith's point. I think it's a good one. Ruffy, I was clean shaven when you started that conversation. When you finished, I had a beard like ZZ Top. William, you're absolutely on the case with it. I mean, that is the nation. That is it. And Smell the Glove says, Alison is a winner. So that's it. And Ewan Montgomery, who's not happy with me giving 23 minutes to Rangers and Celtic and the topics. He's timing everybody now. I swear to God, there used to be a guy in Radio Clyde who said to us, by the way, I've timed you. You've given Celtic 17 minutes. You've given Rangers 15. It's a disgrace.
Yeah. I remember once in our wee radio station, a boy come on and he said, this is ridiculous. He said, it's for 20 minutes you've been talking about Rangers and Celtic. And I said to him, well, what team do you support? He says, I support Motherwell. And I said, well, you're on air. What do you want to say about Motherwell? He went, oh, nothing.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I do, make a point of us going to as many press conferences as we possibly can, and obviously to try and cover every team and give them as much time as we possibly can. Sometimes Celtic and Rangers, as you would imagine, they dominate the back pages as well and dominate some of the major talking points in Scottish football. And off the back of that, there are some tidy games, Ewan, that I am going to talk about out with Celtic and Rangers. One of them, Dundee against Airdrie, because if you were looking, I'm trying to work out where there's a cup shock. And if you were looking and saying,
Pittodrie, there might be one.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to get to you on that in a minute, because quite a few of the people who usually watch and listen to us are Aberdeen fans have gone into hiding. They're not saying anything at the moment until Well, just about to say until Jimmy Tilleen gets them out of these choppy waters. We'll talk about Aberdeen in a minute, but Dundee against the Airdrieonians. 12 goals in 2 games. Dundee have conceded. The Diamonds with Rhys McCabe, who's been getting a fair bit of plaudits and compliments. There are 3 consecutive wins going into this one. Is this a cup shock for you?
No, not for me. I think Dundee have got far too much. It'll be all about confidence. What's going about the dressing room before the game? Who's got the sort of a nous to get the players whose heads are going to be down a wee bit after losing 2 games and 12 goals. But I think he's got far too much experience in there. You're right, Airdrie have picked himself up a wee bit. They were adrift there in the Championship, looked like certain relegation. Again, they'll go up there and enjoy the day, but I just think Dundee will be too strong.
Yeah, I mean, there is a genuine concern. Dundee are not out of the relegation. I mean, Tam, I know, mentioned the fact that he thought they were going to be in the playoff place.
I think there's 2 or 3 teams need a winning run. You know, if the likes of Dundee, if they were to go another 2 or 3 games without winning, we're getting near the split, you know, and they could be dragged in there, as another 2 teams could be, Motherwell particular. You know, they haven't been winning games either. So it's just all about, this is a confidence game for Dundee. They need to win it.
Yeah, I hate to sound like a broken record on this, Ali, every year, but it tends to be. I mean, I've looked at the points and tried to analyse to everyone and mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that if you get to 35 to 38, you've got a chance of being in the playoff place at a push. But if you get up to those points, 38 and above, you're away from it. You've escaped it.
Is that even with the inconsistency of the teams during the year? I
Well,
mean, I don't know what points, if somebody's got more points than others, but they all seem to be quite low.
There's
in
5 points
Yeah.
between basically second bottom and 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I was just basically looking at it and I'm saying to myself, we had St Johnstone to go. So, and now St Johnstone have had 3 consecutive wins, and I'm looking at them, and he's made a few signings, by the way, and some good players that he's signed. So I'm looking at them and I'm saying to myself, well, you know, once you get that split, they're all playing each other,
Well,
and now it's not 10 points, Ali. It's only 5.
It's actually interesting. Few weeks are all the teams round about them. So I think even after the next game, I think if they were to win their next league game and cut that gap, eat into that gap, I think you'll see a few teams really get jittery.
Yeah, I don't think Kilmarnock are out of it. I mean, I see.
Kilmarnock are out of it. I don't think Dundee are out of it. I don't think Ross County are out of it.
Yeah, I mean, but I do think it's those 4 clubs. Even though St Mirren are on 30 points with Hearts, I do think it's those 4.
I think Hearts are going in the right kind of direction. I think you've seen a bit of stability and momentum come in there. St Mirren, I think, will still fancy themselves to push for top 6.
Yeah.
But those 4 at the bottom, I think, will be fighting it out.
Yeah, it's a hard one to call. So you may well be right, Ruffy. Dundee might be looking for that confidence booster. But the point I was about to make is quite simply, Ali, if you have in your locker goal scorers, they can be the difference. If somebody suddenly gets 10 to 15 goals,
Simon Murray,
they take you away from it.
Yeah,
And
I think you've seen it throughout recent seasons. The teams at the bottom, you've seen how important guys have been like that, like Simon Murray when he was up at Ross County, how important he was to keeping them up. I think worth their weight in gold. But I also think too, you need to be difficult to beat. You need to stop losing cheap goals. I think if you look at some of the goals that St Johnstone have shipped over the course of recent weeks, they've been poor. Not so much latterly when they've won a couple of games, but some of the goals that they were conceding were shambolic. And the same you would say for Hibs and Hearts when they were on that poor run for the opening half of the season. The goals they were conceding were comical at points.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still going to. I mean, by the skin of my teeth, I think. I don't know. I think St Johnstone might actually scupper us all with the way they're going about their business. But listen, we'll talk about them taking on Hamilton Accies in a minute. But Livingston against Cove Rangers, I'm going to go to that game, Ruffy. I haven't seen David Martindale in a full season, you know, so I thought I might take a wee jaunt over to Livingston to see how he's doing in that game against Cove Rangers. 2 points off Ayr in the Championship. I think you're looking and you're saying to yourself, Ayr are at the top and they're on merit, but it's a tight one between Falkirk and Livy chasing them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be played out in that league as well. I think, as I keep saying, I think every team in the Championship will have something to say about who wins that league and who's in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. But they 3 just now are, you know, Partick, my team, you know.
Is that your team?
It was my team, right?
Yeah.
Are, you know, got the consistency just now, particularly at home. Lost a couple of games and a draw, so they need to go on some kind of run as well. But I think Livingston are on a run now. I think Livingston have got their act together. The players, I mean, Ryan McGowan's there, you know, that's shored up at the back. So I think they've got players up front that will win this game. I think they'll win about 3-0.
You think so? Cove Rangers, 3 consecutive wins, second in League One. And the great thing about my old mucker, Paul Hartley, is even if they won that game by 4 or 5 goals, he still manages to keep a face that tells you that he doesn't know if he's won or lost. He's got one of those what I call, Paul's got one of those fantastic what I call resting bitch faces.
What we were watching.
So I tell him to his face, he's the oddest guy of all time, and I love him, but he's just mental, you know.
I think, I think they'll go and have a go. I think they've got nothing to lose. I think they'll go and I think they'll be fairly well organised. I think go and try and take the game to Livingston. I think Livingston at home, and everyone knows about that pitch and how tough it can be to play on. But I think Livingston will probably prevail.
Okay, now, Ruffy, you going for that as well, Livingston?
Yep.
Okay, St Johnstone, foot of the Premiership, 3 consecutive wins, Ruffy, and Aki's have lost 3 consecutive games. The Aki's job for me is the toughest job ever, because when people say give young people a chance to get in a team, that's fine, but Aki's, I think, right at the extreme of that at times, where you can suddenly the whole team's full of inexperience.
Yeah, but they do try to bring in young players, you know, and sell them on, which they've been good at in the past. I think, again, inconsistency with Hamilton this year, you know, has been their downfall. I think they'll find it difficult against St Mirren, big, strong team. You know, they'll not have come up against a team like that in the Championship, so they might struggle a wee bit there. But, you know, they're the same. St Mirren need to start winning games again. You know, obviously, the manager's having a go at VAR and everything. They'll be hoping they can just get through 90 minutes and win a game without talking about it.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go St Johnstone to win that one. I don't see any cup shock there. I don't think I've given a cup shock. Is there any cup shock anywhere yet?
There's one for me right at the top.
Yeah, which is what?
Here, Hibs.
We'll get to that in a minute, Ruffy. The reason why I didn't talk about Air Hibs is because quickly, we kind of it becomes a little bit dated quickly, the programme, if you talk about a game that's Ayr United Hibs on the Friday night. Okay. So I thought I'd leave it to the tail end guys. But St Johnstone, Hamilton Accies? St Johnstone?
St Johnstone.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, here's my tip for the cup shock as well, Ali. I might be in your camp on this one. Okay, Dunfermline lost to Livingston last week, but I'm not impressed with Aberdeen. I watched them against Hibs and they were woeful. I
think they look like a team in freefall. I think they have lost all kind of conviction, belief, confidence. I think if ever there was a team ripe for a cup shock, it's now. I would caveat that by saying they're playing at Pittodrie, so maybe they will come through it. I think if the game had been at East End Park, I might have been much more inclined to go with Dunfermline, but I do think it's worth keeping an eye on. I think Dunfermline might just steal something there tomorrow.
Fiver?
Yes.
What about a £30 bottle of wine? That owe you.
Double or quits?
Yeah, well, I know you've done that before, haven't we? Aberdeen, Ruffy, I can't. I mean, I don't think they'll be relegated. I think they'll be safe. I'm going to stick my neck out there, but they've just collapsed. There is no creativity. The back line is woeful, and the new signings and the other ones have it's just gone stale.
It's gone really stale. If you look at it, was it 14 games?
1 win in 15.
Oh God!
And that was against Elgin.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aurora says no chance. 3-0 to the Dons. Hugh says Peter's rubbing his hands. Honestly, I couldn't give a hoot who Aberdeen pick as the manager. I just made a comment suggesting there are 3 people who potentially could have got the job if the Aberdeen board, Ruffy, that's made a complete pig's ear of the last 4 appointments, decides that it wants to sign Jimmy Tillene. All well and good. I don't have any axe to grind with Jimmy Tillini was on a great run, and on those 16 games that they were on a great run, the Aberdeen fans let me have it big style. Right. But they've all disappeared. I mean, they're not even on this feed. When we get a live feed, Ruffy, usually I can spot an Aberdeen fan, but there's none. They're quiet.
No, I think they won't be quiet tomorrow. I think they'll win this one.
Easily?
Yeah, I think eventually, if they get a goal early on, I think they could win 2 or 3-0 in this one. And saying that, Dunfermline did particularly well when they went to Partick and won 4-1. So they've got it in them. I just think it's another level above what they've been playing. And again, they have to be consistent in the Championship. At the beginning of the season, Dunfermline would be one of my teams for the top 4 in the Championship, but they've been in and out all season. So no, I think the home advantage will suit Aberdeen and they'll win this one.
Yeah, Ali, you're going to have to stick your neck out on this one.
I'm going to go for a shock. I'm going to go for Dunfermline to win 2-1.
Yeah, you're going to take that? Wow. And of course, quite a few people are obviously wondering, well, you know, what about his new signings? I mean, he has added a few: Daba, Noster, Dorrington, Jensen, Tobers, and Ockles, but they haven't really blended yet. Maybe they need a wee bit of time. Only time will tell on that. But nevertheless, they're all there. They've all signed. And they're going to have to do something quickly. Maybe the cup run will give them that wee bit of leeway to try and get themselves back on track as far as the league campaign is concerned. But right now, they're on a sticky wicket, and the Dons fans are very, very silent and worried about what's going on, let me tell you. And the amount of people on here, some for and some against, is just great listening to fans giving us their thoughts on it. Anyway, I'm going to go Aberdeen just to edge it, Ali. I thought maybe a shock, but I haven't got a shock on the cards at all, Ruffy, anywhere.
I think all the Premier teams have all got home advantage. That's why we're thinking there's not going to be a shock.
Yeah, okay. Ayr United against Hibs. Hibs, by the way, what do you make of the £7.1 million losses?
Yeah, I was reading it over. I think they said that 3 million of that was the refurbishing of the new stand, which is absolutely incredible. It's fantastic. Yeah. Obviously, you know, they have been paying off some managers and things like that, but clubs like that always come up with a reason why it's that, and they get away with it.
Well, what do you want them birched?
No, not at all. No. If they say they can match it by somebody who's got a few bob, who's able to wipe it, as the bigger clubs seem to have, then they'll get on with it. It's a transitional period for them. They've had a lot of players coming and going. They just need to settle down and go with the squad that they've got. I think the hospitality and the improvements that Hibernian have made in the background will reap its rewards. I mean, their hospitality is great. Yeah. You know, and they've got it at different levels for, you know, a fan that doesn't want to spend too much, maybe want a burger and a pint. They've got that level. Then they've got to step up again. You know, you maybe want to sit round a table with your mates. And then they've got, obviously, an executive level. So I think they've got that right. The commercial part of it as well. The only problem that they've had, really, is trying to get, you know, the manager to get a run with the team, because as ever with anything, it doesn't matter how good your work is behind the scenes, if David Gray couldn't buy a win, the pressure was coming, but thankfully he's turned it around. Absolutely. I think what you see is just how precarious a situation that would have been if he hadn't turned it. I don't think it's sustainable, those amount of losses for a club like Hibs. You can't continue in that vein. So it's vital for them that they finish as high up the table as they can for the financial rewards that come with that. But also too, I think for any club, the model has to be trying to source young talent and having a player that you can sell on for profit. I think it's the best way to maximise finances. If you have one player, even if it's one every 2 seasons, if you can find one, it can sustain you for a long period of time. I think the commercial stuff is fantastic. I think it will make money long term. I think it will be a lucrative arm of that business. But ultimately, I think it's small change compared to what you can do in a bigger sense through player trading.
Yeah, and of course the other aspect of it which would help enormously is if they can push up the table and get European football and get a wee sniff of that as well, it would be great. The one thing that's standing in their way for a cup run to replicate David Gray's heroics of 2016 is of course air. And for Scott Brown, he's done a great job and actually kind of bucked the trend of people who were predicting, well, it'll be Falkirk and the Dunfermlines and the Partick Thistles of the world. Ayr United are there in merit, unbeaten in 8 and doing well.
Doing really well. That's why I think this one will go right to the wire. I think he's added a lot of experience to his squad. As you said, they're on a wee run just now. Ayr United, really tight stadium to play at. The atmosphere will be absolutely fantastic. It'll be up to how the Hibs players handle the occasion, because obviously United at home. So I think it'll be blood and thunder for 90 minutes, and I think Hibs will just sneak at the end.
Yeah, I had a sneaky feeling you were going to say that. Of course, David Gray's hoping that the team can make a good start and that will help silence the home supporters.
It's going to be an exciting occasion for the home fans. The expectation they've got going to the game, or the excitement they've got going to the game, can we go there and start the game really well and hopefully try and dominate the game quite early. That would be the message to the players, but at the same time you've got 11 players on the other side that are trying to do the opposite, so we know it's going to be a real difficult game.
Yeah, no, do you know what, I think we're just all going to enjoy it. I think that's the main thing, right? You know, people are probably going to put us in there as underdogs, but we don't look at it like that. We're going to look at it as just another game to go and show where we're at this season and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's certainly enjoying it. George Oakley's got 14 goals so far. He's going to be a real threat.
I think so. I think it'll be uncomfortable for Hibs. I think that it's like a wee pitch. It'll be a busy stadium. I think it's a sellout. It'll be noisy. I think the fact that Ayr are on such a good run, 8 games unbeaten, I think you'd said. I think obviously the connection between Scott Brown and Stephen Whittaker and Hibs. I think Hibs will prevail, but I think it'll be an awkward tie for them tonight.
Okay, I'm going to go Hibs
Hibs
as well.
2-1.
Okay.
Yeah, Hibs 2-1.
Oh, right. Thank you. Just a couple of things I want to get before we say farewell. Give us your predictions. Who do you think is going to provide us with a cup shock in the Scottish Cup ties over the weekend? Put it in the comments section below. And thank you to so many of you who are supporting us with all the unique content that we're trying to give you. When you consider the commitment to Scottish football, there's the BBC have got their contracts, the Sky, Premier Sports, TNT, PLZ is in there. We're covering it 7 days a week for you, and we are certainly the underdogs when it comes to the financial power of the rest of them that I've just mentioned, but we're trying our absolute best, and with your support, hitting the subscribe button, we can maintain that battle. Ruffy, we're going into our 13th year. I just hope it's not the unlucky 13th year.
No, I'm sure
are you
it won't
superstitious?
Not now. I used to be, but not now. Not now.
Yeah,
I know he's rubbed his lucky shoes 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's had those lucky shoes on since we started this bloody programme 13 years ago. Just before we get to a couple other points I want to talk to you about, here's an update on all the news for you.
Hi there, I'm Kerry and here is your daily news update on Friday the 7th of February, brought to you by Arnold Clark Rewards. Buy a car, download the app and get rewarded. Celtic have escaped a fan ban for the last 16 clash with Bayern Munich in the Champions League after flares were thrown on the pitch at Aston Villa. And ahead of tonight's clash between Hibs and Ayr United, Hibs defender Chris Cadden believes that draw against Aberdeen earlier on this season was a real turning point for the Leith sides.
Yeah, it was a big game for us, but it shows how good the quality is in the dressing room as well to go how many games unbeaten. And I've been up here for years now with a lot of games in the Scottish Premiership. It's not easy to win games of football. It's a tough league. Have all competitions away from home, at home. A lot of good teams, a lot of quality as well. So it's hard to win games here. So for us to do it as well, it's been brilliant. So just need to keep on going.
St Mirren take on Hearts in the All-Premiership game of the Scottish Cup this weekend, and Stephen Robinson hopes his side can make an impact in the Cup, something he admits his side haven't been able to do.
We've done very well in the league, and we've set standards way above what has been set previous, but the Cup runs are something we haven't had, mainly because we draw Celtic most years, so it's probably scuppered any plans that we had in terms of results. But we've got an opportunity. Everybody wants a home tie. we've got a home tie against an in-form Hearts side. They'll bring a lot of fans down, big club, and we'll fill the stadium. So we're looking forward to it.
For all the latest breaking headlines, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and don't forget to download our app, which is available on Google Play and the App Store.
Yeah, we'll discuss that St Mirren game on Monday on the programme as well. Do you see a cup shock in that one against Hearts?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know how that one will go.
shock?
I think Hearts. Yeah.
What is a shock?
I think Hearts will.
St Mirren knocking Hearts out?
Would that be a shock?
No.
Practicing Paisley too. I don't know how I see that one go. I think Hearts will probably win it just because they've got the wind at their backs going into it, given recent results, performances. However, again, I think St Mirren are awkward in Paisley.
Yeah, okay. Interesting stuff. I know the way you paused there, it's unusual for you to pause. Usually you're in right away, Ali, but you paused there, so that must be a tough question. Well, what's your thoughts on the VAR trial by pundits? I'll tell you, interestingly, I want to get your thoughts on it because I think Dundee United have been really, at the forefront of we're not going to be listening to this panel. We're not taking part in anything because we're not happy at some of the decisions. St Mirren equally so have been, quite vociferous in their claims that they've been hard done by as well. And when you see some of the decisions, you can understand why they're more than miffed. But the one thing, the key match incident panel. A report in the Daily Record today says that commentators, reporters and pundits, have been asked to make calls on some of these decisions as well, which I find alarming. I'd like Willie Collum to come out and tell us.
Who's on the key match incident panel?
Name these people. I mean, I know it's a classic Ali McCoy's line, but name these people because I would not give any credence to anybody who's not played the game. Or is not an official who understands and interprets the rules. I wouldn't be asking, journalists to make the call. I wouldn't be asking,
just the
supporters or anything like that. This has implications for people's livelihoods and clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can see why St Mirren are so aggrieved. I think when you look at some of the decisions that have gone against them this season, I think you can understand why they're angry because the financial differences that can make are huge. If you look at the amount of points that's potentially cost them with wrong decisions and where they would possibly be and what that means, I completely understand where they are.
What would you have on the panel? Ex-players, managers,
ex-players, managers and referees.
Yeah, I agree with you. Ruffy?
I would agree with that, but you hit it in the head. You have to know the rules of the game.
Yeah.
I think actually
you have to know the rules. I mean, it's a big rule book.
Because
there's
the thing
hundreds
is,
of rules in it that nobody knows about that sneak up on you. So unless you know what rule 45 section C, D or whatever it is, then.
But I think it's quite amazing. I think sometimes when you talk to players, players
don't know the rules. No, they don't know the rules. And to be fair, by the way, I know people use that as an accusation to beat players over the head with. At the end of the day,
why would you?
Why would you?
Because
you're there to play football. They're there to interpret the rules.
Of it, and the referee is there to apply the laws of the game. Sometimes he may well himself think, well, actually, that's quite a harsh call. For example, the handball rule. Like he might think, well, hang on, that's quite subjective. However, the rule is X, Y, or Z that you have got to then implement within a game. My problem is, it's here to stay. It has to be here to stay.
Is it? Because
I think it's got to be.
I notice a number of people are saying that they should get rid of it. And Stephen Robinson has called for
What do you do about European football?
Well, you just have to live with it and suck it up. Well, they're doing it in Sweden.
I think it's here to stay. I think you have to accept. I think we should be trying to work together, clubs, players, officials, to improve it, to make it better. I don't think the idea that it's not going to be used, that it's not going to be enforced is a nonsense. It's here. It won't ever not be here now.
Stephen Robinson's looking for the referees to be made full-time to improve their decision-making. I also would like to see a situation where I want the comments from the VAR people relayed so that we can all hear what they're saying to the referee, because I think the referee should referee the game and only be told to have a look at it based on there might be something for you to look at here that you haven't seen from another angle. No influence, no trying to, predetermine what should be said of a referee. The referee makes the call, and the angle is only given to him. From the VAR. No voice saying, I think you should do this, I think you should look at that. I want to hear what they've got to say.
Did I not hear that during one of the English games this week, the referee actually telling the supporters this is why this decision has been made?
Yes.
I think that would make it a wee bit easier. It won't clear all the bad mistakes up. But again, I think I said last week, I'd like the referees to explain what they're feeling about it. What is the dialogue? Are they happy the pressure be taken off them, or do they want to make the final decision? Because when he goes over to that camera, he's seeing the same as what the guys up in VAR are seeing.
Yeah.
So I'm like you. I would like the referees to make if they aren't making it, I'd like them to make the final decision.
Full time?
No, full time will make mistakes as well.
Yeah.
I think full time. Although I'm bored, we've been talking about full time referees for as long as I can remember, but I do think. I think it would be sensible to have full-time referees.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed the programme. There's lots of content and lots of coverage right across the 7 days. We'll be keeping you up to date with all the Scottish Cup ties. And down south, there's the FA Cup ties as well. I just wonder if this one could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Aston Villa against Tottenham. Ange Postecoglou watched his side get thumped by Liverpool last night, so that cup is now gone for them.
A single shot on target.
Yeah, I think I don't know. There's something in the background going on. Has he got justification with his injuries?
I think you have a level of justification with the injury situation. I think you would have to be fair to him by saying that, and I think also you would have to say Liverpool just now look capable of claiming everything this season. I think they're meeting an informed team at a point in the season where Liverpool are flying. I think what will be the concern was a lack of heart about the performance. I think fair enough that you go to Anfield and you lose. I think the manner of that defeat last night will stick in his craw. I thought there was no fight about the Spurs, no heart, there's no soul about the performance. I thought it was bland. I thought it was really insipid, and that Son's effort that came off the underside of the bar, the only moment of note for Spurs.
Yeah, criticism coming from all quarters towards Ange Postecoglou. A lot of pundits steaming in on him as well, but Ange says he doesn't listen to them.
No, because I don't know which people I need to prove wrong. I mean, like I said last night, it's irrelevant to me what other people's opinions are. People are on the TV and the radio and newspaper to give opinions. I respect that. They're allowed to do that, but that doesn't compel me. I don't have no obligation to listen to any of it or seriously, to get fueled by comments made by people I've never even met. I don't know how you live your life, but I certainly don't live my life that way. That's with all respect with the fact that they are there to give an opinion. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do like. I've got a lot of time for him. I do like him as a person.
I found him great to deal with. I loved dealing with him, and I liked the kind of football that they played, and I also think there'll be a lot of Scottish fans that wanted to see him do well at Spurs, because I think it's a good reflection then on the Scottish League. I think it looks good that you have a manager who goes down and performs well.
He's fortunate enough he's got good owners who stand by their managers usually.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Knocking chequebook, here you are.
And if you can, by the way, Ruffy, try not to interrupt Ali when she's in full flow. It brings the wrath of people who absolutely slaughter you on here.
Once a 1970s man.
Steady now. Can't call Ruffy a dinosaur. He's beyond the dinosaurs. He was before dinosaurs were invented. So with that in mind, Ange Postecoglou, Aston Villa. I'm going to get Aston Villa to win, knock them out.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks to so many people for giving their thoughts on that. A couple of things before we go, and I want to mention this because I had the great joy, and I'm great friends with Gordon Marshall Jr., but I had the great honour of spending a day in the company of Gordon Marshall Sr. at a Hearts dinner one night, and he was fantastic. He just told me about his experience and the clubs he'd played for, and of course he was a League and Cup double winner with Hearts in 1959-60. I'm talking about Gordon Marshall Sr., who sadly passed away at the age of 85. I sent a message to his son. It's just heartbreaking to hear the news. 5 honours in 7 years, 2 league titles at Hearts, 267 appearances for the Jambos. He also played for Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Hibs and Arbroath. Short spells at Celtic and Aberdeen as well. Good goalie, Ruffy.
Yeah, just before my time, any time I met him, colossally a man, you know, you could see, you know, he had the presence and everything, and the record that he's got all these clubs speaks for itself.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers go out to Gordon Marshall's family and friends. He will be sadly missed, a lovely man, and of course, great history in football. So, the football show will be back on Monday reflecting on the Scottish Cup games. And if you are one of those people who's looking for all the things that we offer in the PLZ Soccer website, on our app, across all our channels, why not delve into our shop? We've got some fantastic Legends prints, t-shirts, and lots of great sweatshirts as well that you might want to get a hold of. That's just one of the many things we offer at PLZ Soccer. From Alison, Ruffy and myself, I'll leave you in the capable hands of our promotion of the shop, and we will, over the weekend, have all our reporters out at the games keeping you up to date with what's happening in the Scottish Cup. Have a great weekend.
As part of the Legends series by world-renowned award-winning Sports Illustrator Jim Scullion, inspired by some of the greatest players to ever play the game. The unique, collectible Jim Scullion Legends range is only available through PLZ, and the first run is limited to 1,000 of each print. Jim's work is highly sought after, with regular commissions for leading sports organisations, publications and sporting legends around the world. This is your chance to own a limited run collectible Jim Scullion artwork, only with PLZ. Click for more details on our website www.plzsoccer.com.